Hello and welcome to the Shiny Bees podcast, a podcast for those who like their knitting, comedy and yarn in equally large measures. I'm your host Jo Millmine and this is episode 95, Orange Mocha Frappuccino, with Countess Ablaze.
I feel a need to laugh again with you, if that's alright. I need a drink, I need a friend.
Hello and welcome to the show. A warm welcome back to any returning listeners. Hello, nice to be with you again. And if you're new to the podcast this episode, welcome in. Come on, get your knitting, sit down and join in the fun with everyone else. We're a very welcoming bunch on this show and we'd love for you to join in with us. I hope you've been well since last time I spoke to you. That was a couple of weeks ago because the podcast has been on a little holiday. When I say holiday, it's not really a holiday at all. I've not been, sunning myself on a beach somewhere with my knitting by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, my hashtag rewind knit along, I'm still knitting the lace panel for my Lush cardigan. I've got no knitting time in whatsoever because I've been working on lots of other fun and exciting things. There are lots of things happening at Casa Shiny at the moment, none of which I will divulge to you at this point in time, but there's a lot going on as usual, as you're kind of used to by now from the show, is always a little bit sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? In a state of flux. If we're not moving house, we're getting new jobs, or we're doing this, or we're doing that, or something's happening. So yeah, it's all very exciting. But likely to take up quite a little bit of my brain space, shall we say, going into the next few months. But I'm looking forward to it indeed. I'm very glad to be back with you all. I have a couple of quick things to let you know about before we go into the not interview with Countess Ablaze. And that is number one, there was previously a Patreon associated with the podcast, and I've decided to stop the Patreon for the podcast. It wasn't really doing what I wanted it to for the show, and I found the platform as a creator quite clunky to use. I wasn't entirely sure that people were getting things when I sent them, and it wasn't allowing me that back and forth, that conversation that I love to have with you as listeners, and that's the most important thing for me. So having a platform that didn't really allow that was suboptimal basically, and it was brought in to allow that to happen, but it hasn't really happened as much as I would like. So that's gone now, and it's just to let you know that is the case in case you listen to old episodes and you're coming back to this one. Basically, it didn't do what I wanted it to do, and therefore I've got rid of it. And I did have some trouble, as my patrons know, trying to get rid of it because it actually, as a platform, made it very difficult to get off the platform itself, which I'll talk about in a blog post because I think it's important for people who are creators and thinking about using it, is what happens when you try and leave, basically, or my experience when I tried to leave, and I'll be putting that up on the blog soon. But as patrons, don't let it put you off supporting other people if you're on there and it's all working for you. Next up, I've also got a big thank you and a big, well, I don't know what the word is, request, I guess. My big thank you is to everyone who voted for the show in the New Media Europe Awards. I'm very pleased to say we've made it through to the final 10 in 2 categories. Audience Appreciation Award, which is your award, and I sincerely hope we get it back again for you this year, and Best UK Podcast Award as well. A big push at the last minute got us from about number 13 up to number 7, which was amazing. The voting has now switched to Twitter, and it's returned to the same system it was last year, which is 50% public vote and 50% independent panel. So I need for you to, every day between the 1st and the 10th of June, to go onto Twitter and tweet that you vote for the podcast in those 2 categories. Ravelry's also made it into the finals of Best Community, so give them a tweet as well. I'm pleased to say my fellow podcast mucker Helen is also in the finals, so if you listen to her show as well, give her some support too. And the finals for that are on the 18th of 19th of June, and I will let you know how all of that goes, but fingers crossed we will be successful in regaining your award. That would be ace and would make me really happy. So there is a link for that on the website. It's under New Media Europe Awards, and there is a blog post about that up there as well. And look out for prompts on Twitter to remind you to do it, basically, to tweet it. You can tweet as many times as you want per day. You can ask friends and family to tweet, of course, etc., because I'm sure they all listen to the podcast. And once per day, the vote is counted. So you can tweet as many times as you want per day, but it only counts once per Twitter profile. Now, there are 2,500 of you that will download this episode in the next 6 weeks, so I expect at least 2,500 tweets. And I'm just going to lay the gauntlet down. I'm throwing down my yarn skein, and, are you going to pick it up, basically? It's up to you. So you can head to the website and find all the details for that on there under New Media Europe Awards in the top navigation, and I will put a link in the show notes. So without further ado, we will go into the non-interview interview. So I'm very excited to be coming back off the podcast break into this interview. For those who are not familiar, Countess Ablaze is an indie dyer, hand dyer of fabulousness and yarns in the northwest of England, in Manchester. Now, she's been going for about 4 years or so, and she just dyes the most beautiful saturated yarns. I've talked about her stuff before on the podcast, and I very regularly find myself, probably once a month, in her studio for knit afternoon. Now, a few months ago, I emailed her and asked her, would she mind awfully coming on my podcast and being interviewed? Because I do like to collect people that don't get interviewed often, which sounds a little bit like I like collecting people, but I love to go and find those people who you don't hear on every single podcast, who are maybe doing things a little bit differently, and her business model is different to the majority of dyers because you don't see her at shows. And she has a storefront, she actually has a studio that you can go in and visit and buy a yarn and sit and eat tonics, which is always a good thing in my book. But I really love to find those people in particular and chat to them and find out what are you doing differently to everyone else? How do you go about running your business, and why do you do the things the way you do them? Which is why I went after, it's probably the wrong word, but I really wanted to speak to Kate Davies after she did yokes, because I love that book, and I'm like, I wonder what she does, I wonder how she structures things, I wonder what she's like. And that was definitely the case with Lindsey, and I think a lot of people find her to be, or the Countess, as a persona, to be quite mysterious and very interesting, and obviously I wanted to hear all about the stories. Now, she is the only person ever to say, no, I'm not doing an interview with you or anyone else, and that is because she actually has autism. It's not, something she's quite open about, and she finds it difficult with speaking when she feels like she's in a pressurised environment. So obviously she said, thank you very much, but it's really, I'm really not comfortable with it. And, I was like, oh, never mind, maybe we can do a blog one day or something. Don't worry. Thank you very much for kind of considering it anyway, because I can understand why you wouldn't want to do it. Anyway, as I've got to know her more and been in the studio more, obviously she's a bit more comfortable with me now because she knows me. And after the Zoolander episode, she popped up on Instagram and she's like, I've just been listening to your show. You should come to my studio and we'll dye this yarn. And it won't be an interview, but you can have a microphone on maybe in the background and we can just chat. It's not an interview. Of course I said yes, as at the time I was in Eureka in Halifax, which is the National Children's Museum for those of you who aren't familiar. And it's really good fun, but it's terribly, terribly middle class kind of, let's educate our children. We don't go to soft play, we go to the museum. And it was a little bit like, oh, goodness me, I'm here on a weekend, this is horrendous. It's very busy, lots of posh children, and me with my feral, terrible kids who don't stick to any rules. I can't think where they got it from. And of course I was like, yes, absolutely, I would love to come and have a non-interview chat with you. So that's what we did, and I really enjoyed going to the studio because I love being in there anyway. It's a really bright white, all the walls are white, brilliant white walls, and they're all covered with yarn and samples and pictures, and it's just such a lovely environment to go and sit in and knit. And the knit group people are so super lovely, proper Mancunian, don't take any messing off anyone, but absolutely lovely with it, really down to earth and very, very friendly. And obviously it's covered in gorgeous yarn as well, so and hashtag tunnocks. So it's definitely a place that I make my excuses as often as possible to go over to. And I went over on a work day, so it's very quiet. It's just me and Lindsey there, and obviously all of the gubbins was out for her to do her dyeing, because on a weekend that's all obviously tidied away out of the way, so it's all nice and safe, so we can all eat tunnocks and knit and chat. So I really enjoyed this interview with her. It is done, obviously normally my interviews are done, for a very long time I've been done over Skype, and so the audio will be a little bit different. It might be a little bit echoey in parts, because we're in quite a large room and there's a lot of hard surfaces, because obviously it's like, you know, stainless steel, we're dyeing stuff, there's a lot of kind of that around, and obviously I didn't want to have the microphone anywhere where she could see it, because I didn't want to put her off, but she was an absolute superstar, and I know how much kind of she wanted to do it and sort of, you know, kind of try and push herself. She's very, very keen on pushing herself to do things, and not letting her autism get in the way, which I really admire. And so obviously I wanted to make it as easy as possible for her to be able to do that, because she wanted to. So I hope you'll enjoy this interview as much as I enjoyed doing it. And yeah, listen to me best be really nervous about dyeing yarns. And you'll hear, you know, a few jokes and a few chats, and I do ask her a few questions, but we try and kind of keep that to a bit of a minimum, so as just to enjoy the dyeing. So in our very first podcast interview ever, may I present to you the wonderful Lindsey of Countess Ablaze. So, I mean, how do you decide? Where do you start?
Well, sometimes I start off with the colouring name, and sometimes the name comes after. But we're working with it before, so we have a name.
We have a name.
What's the name?
Orange Mocha Frappuccino. Orange Mocha Frappuccino.
Okay, we got an orange.
Right.
Right, we've got to do this properly.
Neon.
Orange. Neons. Okay, got to go for the neons.
Neon.
Okay. Neons. Okay, so mocha, bit of chocolate.
How do you match the chocolate with the neon? Is it just my feel? Do you use the faux?
I just eyeball everything. It's just, you know.
I like it.
Yeah.
Good.
Right. Here we go. Chocolate. Right. Frapper. Just frapper.
I don't know. I saw one. I think I might have had one in Starbucks in Canada, and they're about 2,000 calories. They're ridiculous.
Oh, okay.
And it looks like an ice cream. It's like coffee with ice cream on the top almost. They have that whipped cream stuff, you know,
Okay.
those ridiculous ones.
Well, we don't have to be quite so literal.
We don't, no.
No, okay. Something highly calorific, something over the top and ridiculous, okay? Which could be... Ooh. Nah, I know. A bit in neon purple, yeah?
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Rich in calories.
Rich.
Really, yeah.
Rich in general.
Yeah,
know.
exactly.
Royalty, the
exactly.
colour of royalty. Right, okay.
And now we need a chino.
We do. I don't know, I feel like some other kind of orangey or yellowy sort of, like the flames.
Oh, I like when
you
you're
like
good. Yeah.
They all die basically.
Yeah,
in a freak gasoline by accident.
Yeah, happy days. Let's see. Ooh.
What do you think?
I know. Okay, we're going to go with 2 colours for this.
Okay,
we're going to go for something a bit golden. And
can I hold carry some of those?
I'm getting overloaded here, aren't I? And then we have to finish it off with another favourite, neon yellow. You know, it would. I mean, if this thing isn't, you know, radio, this could literally power Greater Manchester when it's done. That's what I'm after.
This is taking the Northern Powerhouse to a whole new level.
Exactly. We know what we're going on about. So,
Yes.
let's get this going.
Right.
Okay. So, we have got 50 skeins.
Right.
50. 50. At the moment we've got 20 because, space, and we don't want to overload ourselves just yet. So, it's obviously going to be variegated.
Yes.
And there are different types of ways we can do that.
Okay.
Speckles are all the rage.
Speckles. Okay.
Speckles. We could speckle this, or we could do a combination of things. Pouring some dyes on that are all nice and wet, and speckle over. You could literally do whatever you want.
Don't look at me like that.
Okay.
I just sprinkle it. They'll all be completely different, or they'll come out plasticine brown. So
Ooh, well, we've already got some brown in there.
we have got some brown.
So maybe we don't need the brown. Maybe we'll just end up with brown anyway. Okay.
All with it too much.
Right, I tell you what. Let's whack the kettle on.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh. Yes.
Right. Let's whack the kettle on, and then we will start measuring up.
Okay.
So, I've even bought new Pyrex for the occasion.
I love this.
Because I've been using, for the past almost 5 years now, the same plastic science beakers like you used to use in school.
I love it.
They were getting a bit, when they get a bit difficult to clean because they're stained. So I'm like, let's upgrade Pyrex, darling.
Oh, I love it.
So,
in the middle class.
oh, I know. No, darling.
But you went to Lakeland and everything, didn't you?
Well, Amazon, really.
Yeah.
Some bloke came up, came delivered them yesterday. Same thing. Right. So, I also want spoons. I use like coffee spoons. When we were doing this authentically.
It is. It's like an actual Frappuccino.
Exactly. Yeah. So, let's do this. Right. There's one thing we need, very importantly, is you need a fixer.
Okay.
Which sounds dodgy. It looks dodgy. The delivery guy, whenever he comes with my great big 50 kilos of citric acid, is always questioning what on earth I'm up to, which is amusing. So, right, we have got everything we need.
Okay.
We have dye, citric acid, a lot of hot water. I'm just going to quickly nip and get some cold water.
Okay.
It's very technical in here, very
I love
technical.
it. I'm like, I have expected to have a Bunsen burner, just underneath it. It would be so cool.
I'd love, that would be amazing.
I'll be stuck between that and having one of those, when you go to Rush Home and you get curry, like group curry, and they have like a burner underneath and you open the top. It's like a round thing. It's a posh one, when you have a banquet.
Oh, not like my.
These are lovely industrial ones.
Yeah,
but
I know what you
there's
mean.
ones with like a brass thing where you open it and it slides in, and it's almost like a little 3/4 of a circle, really.
Yeah.
And then the curry's in there.
That might be a bit tastier than.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think of practicalities. It's all in the data.
Okay.
Just gotta do it. Go on. So.
Right. Let's see. So. Let's put all the dyes together. So we have got oranges and lemons, and we have some chocolate brown, and we have some neon purple. Of course, have to get that in there. Right. So I think we should start off with the palest first, which is bizarrely the neon yellow. If you can call that pale. So. What I do is I will use my coffee spoon, very technical. There are different ways that people dye. Some people are very much into precision. I did do that, and it kind of lost the appeal. I kind of see dyeing as more as an art than a science. Obviously it's both. So, there you go. That's it really. Obviously I eyeball it and make sure things are as close as possible. But you know, I don't think yarn should always be identical when it's hand dyed. It's supposed to be unique. And then we're going to toss in a tablespoon of my fixer. Looks well dodgy. I've actually never dyed in front of anyone before.
Oh, right. I was like, you're quite good at teaching this.
Oh, really? Oh, no, don't say that, don't say that. Okay, so, first time for everything. This is a lot of first times today. So, bung in some boiling hot.
Oh, wow. I didn't expect it to be that colour.
Now, this one is quite, it's almost sticky. It really needs a good stir, this one.
Do you want me to stir it?
Yeah. Make sure you really hold it. Otherwise I'll end up with it all over the floor. I have done that before.
Alright, I'll be really careful. I have a whole cup of coffee, so anything could happen.
I did it once with neon pink, and it fell off the counter, and it went up the walls, and it was just it was like some kind of neon murder scene.
That's a good colouring name.
Well, yeah, I mean my husband was not too impressed, but yeah, we had to like repaint everything, and that was the moment we decided, right, I need a studio. Like, you know, this happened at home. I need a studio. I need a little bit more safety here. Right. Does that look?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I've never done it.
Okay. All right.
It looks alright.
Yeah, that's perfect. Normally with this neon yellow, you get like globby bits.
Yeah.
You know, they don't all do that. Each dye, you sort of get to know it quite well. Each dye does different things, but some of them become like gel.
Oh, right.
I hate those ones. It's like, you know, you have to use them like really, really hot. So, right, there we go. That's a good stir.
It reminds me when you get your hair dyed, and you know when they put a colour on and it's not the colour that it's going to come out as.
Yes.
It's a bit like that.
Yeah, yeah. So, right. Let's start. I like to start.
I'm really nervous.
Oh no, don't be. It's dead easy, right? Let's push all these together, and then
That's me.
So I don't end up with.
Well, the one at the end being a rebel.
Well, I quite like the rebel ones. Right. I like starting in the middle.
Okay.
And then working my way out.
All right then.
So we'll do that.
Okay.
All right. Dead technical.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what I've got here is I've got steamer pans. They're gastronome pans that you get from catering. You know, like catering.
Like school dinners.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sponge
Pudding with mint custard.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all they are. And then each one, I have 5 skeins. And we're using Blueface Leicester and Firestar because Zoolander needs a bit of bling.
He does.
It does.
He does.
So bang in the middle, I have got the neon yellow, right? And then I'm just going to use my coffee spoon to really do something technical. It's called mushing.
I was going to say, I do that for my kids' eggs.
Just mush it in, just jiggle it around a bit, you know, so you can make sure that you're getting that dye to penetrate all the way through.
Yeah.
See, I like to make sure that I soak the yarn, the undyed yarn, for a good 18 to 24 hours beforehand, so that that water goes all the way through, that it will saturate, because then it means that when you put your dyers on, the centre of the yarn will also be saturated with dye.
Yeah.
To me, that's sort of how a good dye job should look. But there's different techniques which you don't want to have that happen. But if you're really after a saturated colour, which I like my bold saturated colours, you have to do things slowly.
Yeah.
And you need to really start at the basics of making sure that you've got your yarn in water for long enough. So, right, we're now mushing the 4th one.
I can't stop thinking about curry now because it's you know that the yogurt stuff when you go. Some places do it where they dye it with turmeric and make it like an orangey yellowy colour.
Oh yes.
And now I can't stop thinking about curry.
Do you know, I've seen
lunchtime.
pictures of people dyeing yarn with that, and I just think yes, and I just think how amazing and how gorgeous it must smell. But I just think you definitely need gloves with that one. You know, it gets everywhere.
It's embarrassing. Try and eat it. You should be like, really?
Yeah. Okay, so there we have our yellow centres. At the moment, this is looking like a chucky egg. It is, isn't it? You've got yolk in the middle and whites. Right. Next, we are going to go with some golden oranges. So, same thing again. You know, my really accurate half a teaspoon. And the thing is as well, I like to dye in layers. So once you've got your first layer on, you can go back and you can go, well, I think it needs this and I think it needs that. Because when you dye in layers, you can really build up a lot of complexity, and then you're building up new colours within the colours that you're already using. It's quite fun to play with.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got my hot water in and my fixer. It does look a bit like cocaine, I swear it isn't. Right.
In my head, it was totally Breaking Bad. I thought we'd have the full-on suits and little masks on, or I'd get here and you'd just be stood there in white shorts, basically, is what I thought.
Well, I do have a boiler suit and a shaved head, so you know, I could have done that, but it is a warm day. It might be raining. It is Manchester. But right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start from the other side of the table and then work our way over. Okay. So here we go. This is going to go next to neon chucky egg yolk. Like this. Now, dyeing like this is going to produce a colourway that will pull a bit. Some people don't like that. Some people love it. You know, I dye all different ways, so tell you now, this one will pull a bit. And again, we're going to start highly technical mushing. As you can see there's some white bits. That's absolutely fine. This yarn is superwash, so what happens is you pour the dye on and it like sucks it in immediately. Another reason why I like dyeing in layers.
Yeah. Because
you can go back and you can fill in all these gaps and make it do other things, you know. But another reason as well why I'm not doing all 50 at once, because I like to pour everything on and then mush, and I can't quite do it quick enough.
Yeah, to get all the way down the line.
Yeah.
There'd be loads, wouldn't there?
Yeah, so there is a sort of a conveyor belt here, but it's
very
not
efficient.
I'm very much into efficiency. Yes. Yeah. You have to be very efficient in your production dyeing. You know, you do need a setup that will allow you to do a lot at once. Yeah. So no microwaves or anything like that where you can put a couple in at a time. It's, you know, you get to the stage where you need full-on industrial equipment.
Yeah.
So.
But you're still touching every single one, aren't you? Multiple times.
Oh yes.
It's quite cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Right, so that's that. Now I think we need to reintroduce the neons. Now this is one of my favourite neons. It's neon orange.
I love this. I want to have a mush this time as well.
You want
I
to
feel like
mush?
I've got the measure a bit.
Alright.
I've got my own spoon. This is amazing.
Oh yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to put in my neon orange and my fixer, citric acid. You can use white vinegar. It stinks.
Yeah.
When you're doing production scale like this, it's much cheaper to buy citric acid. Much cheaper.
You see, this is how I cook. I do just eyeball everything. I couldn't tell you how I do it, but I know how much it is.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's almost like when you do it the first time, it's nice to have a little guide, but then after that, I feel like I need to rebel from the guide. Do it my way.
Right. Oh, I tell you something, I like the sound of these new glass Pyrex.
Oh yeah,
Oh, I like this. Yeah, much better than those placky ones. Right, ready?
Yes.
Right, we'll start from your end,
Right.
and you can get mushing. Okay. Pouring on now at the ends.
Does it need to go all the way to the end?
Yep.
Well, you give me more so much. I'm anxious now. I'm like, no, there's not enough time.
No, it's fine because we go over it all. We'll go over it all and you know, fix anything that needs fixing and add more dye.
So I'm studying with my hands clenched going,
No, you're doing nothing wrong. It's absolutely fine. You know, I'm not a technical dyer. I'll never claim to be a technical dyer. I'm happy with that.
This one looks like red sauce.
Oh, do you know what? I can definitely see the fire now.
Mm.
That's fiery. Oh my goodness!
Burning dead bodies.
Oh my god! Oh dear! Oh.
It's all going wrong.
Oh, never mind.
I felt like I hadn't covered this end enough, so I've gone back a bit.
All right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I wasn't sure how much mushing to do.
Yeah. So, right.
Okay.
Let's see what we need. Right, purple.
Okay.
We need the neon purple. Now, what we need to do is we need to be careful with this because if we put the purple directly on top of the oranges and the yellows, it's gonna look poo brown. Really, it's not gonna look good. Okay, but it's okay because we've still got the top end here of the skeins, totally deserving of some neon. Okay, some neon purple. Now this neon purple it's a funny one because some of the dyes you need a lot to get a decent colour. This one you only need a little. If you use too much, it's a bleeder, like a complete, and you'll never ever get it to not bleed. It's a funny one. So you only need a really tiny amount of this one. Also, it lasts longer, which is nice. You know. So,
How do you know? Do you find that out by just trial and error, or do you say, by the way, guys, don't use too much of this?
trial and error.
Yeah.
Trial and error. Yeah. You know, you have to bear in mind that when you dye, whether you're starting off or you're experienced or whatever, you're gonna have a lot of wastage because you need to experiment. So. Oh, I love that sound, the glass, that's lovely. That makes me feel really professional, you know. Totally. Right,
Makes all the difference.
I'm going to go and grab more water, cold water, to top this up. Right, and I'm back with water, so I'm just going to top this up. The temperature of the dye that you put on, it doesn't matter so much when the wool is superwash, because it's not going to felt. But if I was dyeing yarn that hasn't been superwash treated, I need to make sure that I have a lot more cold water in there, so that I'm not shocking the yarn. It doesn't like shocking. I need therapy after that. So, right. I'm going to bang this on. This is going to be a couple of jugs of this one.
Right,
I reckon.
so do I mush?
Mush away, mush away. Yeah.
Quite nervous. I do get nervous, believe it or not, occasionally.
Do you?
No.
No, I didn't think so, no.
It depends. If it's life or death, no. If it's just yarn, yes.
It's just yarn.
Which is life or death to many people.
Right. So, making up some more dye.
You can see where it's just completely sucked into some parts of it.
Yeah. There we go. So we've got all that on now, and now we're just mushing this in. It's very technical.
It is. I'm loving it. Oh man, I should have gone onto this side quicker.
Right. Now I'm using cable ties, reusable cable ties. I like to have a point of reference when I'm dyeing, which sounds ridiculous, but if you've got wet yarn and it's just dumped in, and I've had 50 skeins here, like dumped in, and you want to be able to grab one and not get all the bits of string or out of alignment, because it just makes a mess, and it makes your job afterwards even more difficult. I use cable ties on each one. It takes 2 seconds to do, literally no time at all, to just put that point of reference on. It really makes your job easier. The other thing you have to do though is make sure that you're really getting that dye underneath them. You know, I don't put them on too tight, but enough to make sure that it's not going to come loose.
It's definitely quite like mine at this end.
Okay. Right, so some of these are a little lighter than others, so what I'll do is I will mix some more purple. And it's quite cool because this is becoming a bit pink as well. So, I'm kind of liking this. Do you know, I'm beginning to change my mind on the brown. And I'll tell you why. Okay, it's my morbidness. We're pretty morbid on this anyway. It does look like a. It's definitely we're going for the explosion, aren't we? We really are. Without meaning to
go any other way.
Without
we
meaning.
Started off with a noblest of intentions.
I know. We're going for an explosion. So I know where we're going to go for that.
That's good.
Okay. So just mixing up a bit more of the neon purple. To just touch anywhere that might need it.
I'm a bit quicker this time. Get in there.
It's an art form, mushing. you get really quick at it, very quick.
You just like make it look like you're not really doing anything. I was like, yeah, I can totally do that, and then I'll try to do it.
Do you know what? This is the perfect job for a faffer. Just sit, just stand there, just faffing about, just mushing my yarn, faffing about. It's fine. Yeah.
So now I'm a bit competitive. I like to get it right first time. And,
Wow. Layers. That's why the way of dyeing layers.
Dyeing layers, yeah.
Layers, darling. So.
I don't know, it's not very ladylike from me, competitive, I don't care.
Oh, I'm not bothered, but I'm quite competitive. I always have been.
I want to be doing it better than the best blokes doing it.
Wow.
It's not worth doing it at all.
Well, exactly. Oh yes, look at those, darling.
This is nice!
Oh yeah, right. Let me see.
Okay.
Right. I'm going to do some speckling here. Right, I'm going to do this bit simply because I only have one face mask.
Okay.
And you're supposed to wear a face mask when you're dealing with dry powder because you don't want to inhale it and have multicoloured insides, or maybe you do.
Quite funny. Imagine the post-mortem.
Oh gosh, yeah. Don't tempt me. Right, okay, so.
Go on, I'll move it the works with safe distance.
Okay, I will mumble in a second. Right, I'm going to get the neon orange back out.
Okay.
Okay.
No, it is definitely Breaking Bad.
Oh, it is. Right.
/ Darth Vader. You do sound a bit like Darth.
Do I look alright?
Yeah.
Yeah?
You're rocking it, mate. Rocking it.
Nice one, okay. We're going to get the neon orange. You're going to have to sort of do this one, Jo.
Right, okay. So, she's got a spoon and she's sprinkling is probably the best word I could use for it, in a very girly way, the little finger tap. And she can't argue, she's got mask on. So
Girly! I'm so not girly!
I know, which is quite funny. It's why I find it more amusing than I probably should be.
Oh
And just tapping it on, kind of like you would do, I don't know, I guess with, it does look just like that chocolate stuff you get on top of a fancy coffee.
my god.
I'm just sprinkling it on the bottom bits, it's gone onto the flame, basically. The bottom part looks like a fire, and then this has been sprinkle tapped, technical term, on top. And it's sort of, yeah, it does look exactly when you put it on a coffee, when you put it on foam at the top and it gets little splodges. It looks like that. It's good. OMG. Cool.
Right,
What?
I'm going to change my mind here.
Okay.
Alright.
Right, that's better. It's a bit hard to talk with that. Right. I don't think we go with brown.
Yeah, I agree.
I think we go with a bit of black. A bit of charcoal.
For death. Black for death.
So morbid. Shall we do this?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we're already full on gas explosion morbid at this point.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm going to get the black.
You say I'm not a good Googleizer. No, I think it's good. It kind of conveys the embers. Of
Brilliant.
The Greek gasoline fight accident.
This is, we're on the same wavelength here. This is brilliant.
Totally.
So, right. Darth Vader up again.
Okay. I'll be tired for safe distance. So it's the same kind of technique, the kind of girly tap of death.
Seriously, we need words about this girly tap.
There's nothing wrong with being girly or tapping. Or anyone gets offended. Onto the neon purple. Which, I mean, that what colour you get in fire, isn't it? When it's like a chemical fire. Petrol and stuff. Thinking about this too much.
Yeah.
I don't need to justify the black, just put the black on there.
Neon.
Oh, hilarious. I love this.
And that.
And that, folks, is a orange mocha Frappuccino.
Amazing. I love this.
Yeah?
It's so fun. I definitely reckon I could do this part of the dyeing. It's just the washing, scanning, labelling.
Oh yeah, this is the fun bit. This
Yeah.
is the best bit. But this is like the smallest bit of the entire job. It really, really is. So yeah. So that's the first 20 done. I'm not going to do this now because I will nuke your equipment, but these will get steamed for a good 2-3 hours. Make sure that that dye really sticks.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's it.
Awesome. I'm excited. Because that has loads of stuff to look at it, even though it's like not even ready. You know, when you pick something up and you turn it round like a scale and you look at all the bits. It's really interesting to see when it's like this. Some good splodging.
Yeah. Oh, I was an early adopter of speckles. I was looking through my records and I have speckled yarn from the early 2012. I was by no means the first. There were a good few other dyers doing it back then. But it was it wasn't a new technique. It's a technique that's been around for a long time, but it's very fashionable now. So
Yeah. How do you let's say you're doing CPD, you know, you have to keep up with industry trends and stuff like that. Where do you start when it's like hand dyeing?
I just generally ignore what everybody else is doing. No, truly, I ignore what everybody else is doing and do my own thing. Because if you pay too much attention to what everybody else is doing, it's very easy to be influenced. Do your own thing. Other people notice that as well, and you know that's how you get loyal followers or fangirls, and so that's how you do it. Just do your own thing. There's only room for one Countess Ablaze. There's only one room for one hedgehog fibre, one everybody else. Don't need another.
No, and when you look at it like this and how different these are, it can't be that hard just to kind of experiment a little bit. I mean, I can kind of see it because I was like nervous thinking, oh, should we put that there and should we put that there? And you're obviously, because you've been doing it so long and it's very kind of organic the way that you do it, you're just like, no, don't worry about it, just splodge that, it'll be fine.
But when I first started, I was so nervous. I mean, I started reading some of the books that a lot of people start off with. I can't remember the names off the top of my head now. I will find them for you to link to. And then I watched some YouTube videos, and then I just sort of like threw the books out, and I was like, no, this all seems a bit too beginners for me. And obviously I'm not doing anything particularly advanced, but it's like when you focus so much on technique of a beginner's style, you don't evolve. And if you don't evolve, then I just don't see the point in continuing. You've got to keep doing different things to keep fresh, otherwise you just get bored. And your customer base gets bored, and you need to be doing something constant all the time.
Yeah, definitely. I guess it is, again, like the cooking analogy. If you've never made a shepherd's pie before, if you get a recipe and you make it, you're like, right, well, that's what you do, and then the next time, you sort of freestyle a bit more. Yeah, in goes the Worcestershire sauce, and,
oh yeah, definitely, and then maybe some extra peas or some carrots, but yeah, this is exactly the same thing. It is cooking, really. Yeah, just throw out the recipe books and just crack on, as you would say.
Yes.
Crack on.
Do you like to crack on?
Yeah.
No, awesome. So what made you decide to start dyeing?
All kinds of different reasons. It was several reasons, really. Somebody gave me some hand-dyed yarn, and it was beautiful, but it had scorch marks on it.
Really?
It did. Okay, so the word that probably describes this really is arrogance, because I'm like, well, why has that happened, and what can I do to make it better? And I knew nothing about dyeing. And then I just experimented loads, and I discovered that it was not soaking your bare yarn for long enough and putting it in a microwave, and that's how you get your heat spots. And then since then I've like, right, we're not doing microwave dyeing. No, it might be quick, it might be fun, but for longevity of your colour, it's no good, and it's no good for production purposes either. I can dye a couple of 100 in a day.
Yeah.
You can't do that with a microwave, or if you can, it's not a way that I figured out. But I've got a completely different setup that works for me. So yeah, arrogance was one of my reasons, really.
I love that. At least you're like, yeah, well, that's just what it was. It's true.
Well, it is. I mean, there's no point beating around the bush and lying and making up some nice fairy tale and being girly about it. I'm competitive. It's like,
I can do this better.
Yeah, it's like, let's have a go. Let's have a crack. So yeah, that's how that's come about. So, and the other thing as well, like this one's completely personal, is that I actually experienced 3 deaths of my husband, one of our best friends, and a family member, all within 18 months.
Yeah.
And you just get to that point. I was only young. I was like 26, 27, and you just think, you've got your 30s ahead of you. Everybody's like, oh my goodness, 30. And then I was just like, right, 30's going to be brilliant.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, I need to change things. I need to live a bit. So that sort of motivated me as well. And it was almost like therapy, it's knitting. It was a natural evolution. Knitting keeps your head calm, which is what you need when you're depressed, or your head's going 100 miles an hour, or you're bereaved. You need something to do. And then the dyeing came.
Yeah.
And all those deaths just kick-started it. So I like to think bad things happen. You need something good to come from that.
Yeah, definitely. And it's something you find a lot, is that people kind of can drift around, or they often find their big inspiration or their biggest break after something that's really bad.
Yes.
But yes. It's kind of like, well, it's a law of physics, I think. You can't just bump along the bottom. You have to have big ups and downs.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just how things go.
Yeah, that's how I made my very, very low time into something a bit more positive. And here I am in my studio. You're in my studio.
I know, in your studio.
In my studio.
That totally influenced my choice of decoration in my house.
Oh, yes.
Like, paint everything.
Yes, the walls are white. You were asking me what shade of white it was.
There are lots of different
There are
shades
lots of shades of white, yes.
No,
Yes.
they're in
So-
trade.
Yes.
It's my entire upstairs is covered in it.
But yeah, so lots of white, which is great because the yarn just looks, it's
It
offset,
does.
it looks very bright against it, very saturated. So, yes.
No, definitely. Because I'm a big fan of black and then yarn on top of black, but obviously that would be a little bit gothic. Well, a bit, maybe even too gothic. Or something nightclub. Or
You know. No, we won't. I'm looking at these orange mocha frappuccinos here and going, oh, should we put a glaze of black over it? Like, no, leave it. It's fine. They're cool as the rest. We've already got the black on.
We've got the black. We've got the death.
Yeah.
In there.
We've got some charcoal.
I know. It's terrible because we're both as bad as one another.
I know. We're just feeding off each other here, aren't we? It's like, who could be the most morbid? It's, oh, goodness. But that's so funny because didn't we find out we were actually at university together?
Yeah.
The same university, the same time, and the same halls of residence.
Yeah.
We probably had drunken conversations at a bar.
Indeed. Or Abdul's. I think it probably was
Abdul's?
Abdul's. Yeah.
I lived in Abdul's.
I love Abdul's. Abdul's is a kebab shop.
Yes.
For anyone that doesn't know, in Manchester. Or a chain of kebab shops. In
Yes.
fact, I went up there the other week and the one that's halfway up Oxford Road, he's expanded into the shop. So the music shop is still there and Abdul's is like double frontage Abdul's now.
Good for Abdul.
I know.
Nice one.
Smashing
Nice one. And Gemini Pizza.
Yes.
Still there.
Yes.
Still there. But yeah. So yeah, there we go. We may have met in a former life. Who knows?
Probably over a plastic pint glass of
Yeah.
quadruple vodka and lemonade.
Yeah, it's like, why are they not serving quick enough or something? You know,
Oh,
we've been stood here for 20 seconds.
I was probably the bandit who was like, because one of my housemates worked behind the bar at the academy, so I'd be like, Becky, wait a minute. Just kind of passing it over. It's who you know. It's all who you know.
It is. But yeah, here we are.
Awesome. I'm excited. I want to get it out now.
No. You'll be covered in dye. It's not ready.
It's not ready yet. So what do you do in between the time? Because obviously you have these here.
Mm-hmm.
Is that when you do all of your kind of like social media and catching up on all the other stuff? Or when it's a dye day, do you dye and then rest and then come back in between?
I do technically rest.
Mm-hmm.
It's very physical work.
Mm.
And I'm sometimes doing this on crutches.
Yeah.
Well, one crutch, but it's a cool crutch because it kind of looks like I'm playing video games or something.
I know.
If you're going to have use a crutch, make it a cool one. But so I do need to pace myself.
Mm.
I'm not very good at that.
No.
I'm really not. I'm like, my head's going 100 miles an hour and it's like my body's not. It's going about 40 sometimes. It's like, come on, catch up. But yeah, I am forcing myself to make sure that, I do sit down, have a coffee with Kathleen, it needs the caffeine, and then maybe catch up on emails and my social media. But yeah, try and get everything done in little bits.
Yeah. I'm getting ideas about my cellar now.
Oh,
I have a cellar.
you have
a
a
large
cellar.
cellar.
I have a cellar as well, darling. My cellar is the talk of knit group.
Mm-hmm.
My knit group think I'm a secret dominatrix,
Mm-hmm.
and that I have a dungeon down in my cellar because I won't let them go down there. You see?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're convinced of it. Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
It's all the rage to have a cellar though.
It is.
I think Jess has got a cellar and Fluff's got a cellar.
Really.
Mm.
Oh.
Yeah, she let me go down there.
Ooh.
It was good.
So I'm in good company then. Cellar dwellers.
Although she locked me down there with a lot of acrylic. Because someone had donated a lot of acrylic and I was down there. She's like, I'm going to lock you down here with the acrylic. Please don't. I might cry.
That's cruel.
She's funny. We like Fluff.
Oh,
She's
good.
good. I'm still clutching my spoon here. What am I supposed to...
Do you want to take the spoon with you as a souvenir?
Yeah.
You don't want to use that for your coffee though?
No. I might get you to kind of scratch Countess on it with a...
I've got a Sharpie,
Yes.
that will do.
Oh no, like at school, when you had those, the metal pencil tins and you used to like
Oh,
scratch them
yes.
out. Yeah, a bit like
Yeah.
that. Retro.
We can do that, definitely.
I don't think I should lick my finger to get that dye off.
No, probably not.
This is why I don't dye yarn. This is why I don't dye yarn. Be dangerous. So there we have it. I hope you enjoyed that chat with Lindsey and I. A different format to the usual interview format, but one that I hope you enjoyed taking part in. A little bit more chatty and informal. And you got to hear the sounds of the studio, including the mushing sounds. It sounded a little bit like jumping in puddles, really, or mud. It was a great day to go over there and chat to Lindsey and have fun dyeing the yarn. And I can't believe I actually got to make the orange Mocha Frappuccino yarn. I'm very excited. So that is going to be, obviously, I've dyed enough, not for everybody, not nearly enough for everybody, but we did dye quite a few. So if you do want to get your hands on some of that, head on over. The best thing to do is join the mailing list, because as soon as it's ready, I'll just bang an email out and everyone can get involved. It's 500 metres. It's a light 3-ply. It's a new base. It's not on her website yet. It's the sparkly blue face Baron. And it comes in, as I say, at 500 metres per 100 grams. So that's going to be, the ones I have available will be up there. And if you want to get involved in some crazy neon orange Mocha Frappuccino wonder, then come on over. I've already selected a complementing skein of Black Parade to go with it, which is a completely black version, solid version, in the same yarn that I saw at the studio. And I'm thinking something stripy. You know, break it up, make it quite dramatic. A bit more Black for Death, you know, a bit more Black for Death. But otherwise, you know, just kind of breaking it all up a bit, and it'll really, the neon will completely pop on a black background. I'm very excited about that. Yeah, as I say, I will be putting full details up as soon as that is available. You can come and get involved if you so wish. So that is all I've got time for this week. I hope you've enjoyed the show and enjoyed Lindsey's company as well as mine today on our first show back after the little break. All that remains for me to say is I hope you'll have a lovely week, happy crafting, and I will speak to you all again soon. Bye! You've been listening to the Shiny Bees podcast, a podcast for those who like their knitting, comedy and yarn in equally large measures. If you'd like to get in contact with me, you can do so via the blog, or I'm Shiny Bees on Ravelry, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest and Facebook. You can email me at shinybeesinfo@gmail.com. Music for this episode is provided by Music Alley, and it is Adam and the Water Boys and I Need a Drink.
I need a drink.